Hey everyone, this is Abhijit from PyNet Labs Private Limited, and most of you must be familiar with me, either that you have attended one of my trainings at PyNet Labs Private Limited in a public batch or a corporate training, or otherwise you might be familiar from some of my videos which we have published over our YouTube channel. So I've came back again with another video, and this is kind of going to be a demo video since we have an exciting announcement to make for each one of you. So at PyNet Labs Private Limited, as we highlight that we are network automation specialists, we have been working rigorously in network automation space for last around 2.5 years, and we started working in this domain since the very beginning when Cisco came out with their new launch of certifications. And I even mentioned that in almost every training that I deliver for public as well as for private batches. Our key expertise has been in the field of delivering trainings for DevNet Associate, for delivering one of our very popular course that is PCNA, which is Python for Network Engineers, or be it DevNet Associate plus Ansible training, or be it my SD-WAN course, that too for Cisco as well as for Versa. And recently we also have started delivering CCNP DevNet.
If you enjoyed the content of the video, don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel.
Right? We also have been delivering CCNP Enterprise and certain other courses. So the course, which is PCNE plus DevNet Associate plus Ansible, has been one of the very popular courses that we have came up with, and there have been thousands of customers to whom we have catered this particular training, as well as we also have delivered numerous amount of trainings for Viptel SD-WAN. With our amazing lab experience, almost everyone have praised us for being very smooth in terms of delivering the training and delivering the lab solutions for each of our subscribers or customers. And hence, since Cisco have recently announced CCIE DevNet, and I believe most of you might have watched my experience video where I discussed, since I attempted CCIE DevNet exam as soon as they announced it, I have discussed about my experience with my attempt to DevNet exam or DevNet Expert Lab exam in one of my videos, where I have discussed about the experience and about the model of the DevNet Expert exam. However, I've been saying this since the beginning that most of my students or most of the candidates who sign up for my courses belong to networking domain. And since with the rapid growth of network automation field, there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of software suites which are coming in the market almost every single day, every single week. And companies or organizations are adapting to the upcoming or you can say newly launched solutions or newly launched softwares for implementing network automation into their domain. And that is exactly where we do deliver or we cater trainings which actually prepares you for prepares you for working with those newly announced technologies or softwares or solutions which will kind of give you confidence to work with network automation roles. So everyone have been upgrading themselves from traditional network experience to something new, which is network automation space, and that's where you have been learning about skills like Python, skills like working with Ansible, right? Skills like working with APIs, skills which works with various Python libraries that includes NetMiko, right? That includes NC client, that includes request libraries, and that also include data structuring language, XML, JSON, right? YAML, right? And various other stuff. All of this is quite basics of network automation, and it is not that depth of a feeling which you will get for doing advanced network automation stuff. And recently, I have seen a trend where companies are moving towards adapting or integrating tools or solutions in their organizations which will help them achieve network automation with an ease or with a smooth experience. And that is exactly where DevOps comes up into the picture. Now, what's DevOps? Well, DevOps is nothing but a blend of, you can say, development plus operations. This is something which we call as DevOps. And it is a term, or it is a software development life cycle which has strongly been integrated with the world of software development. And software engineers work very closely with DevOps tools and solutions. So when we think about it, DevOps allows you to create a development workflow or development life cycle which will keep your production environment very intact and very updated, as well as it will also allow you to scale your network deployments, to scale your network versioning, and to also allow you to reduce the downtime that you might face into your network. And this is something that every organization would want. Who would not want their network to perform the best with their capabilities? Right? Nobody would want to underperform, or nobody want their IT infrastructure to underperform based on the requirements. So organizations have been thriving to upgrade their employee skill sets, and so that the employees can actually work with the DevOps solutions and try to find a way that they could integrate their current network infrastructure with a very skill set. So, and that's exactly where CCNP DevNet and CCIE DevNet focuses on, right? Almost 60% of the content focuses on tools and softwares that belong to DevOps. That includes Git or GitHub, right? That includes working with IDE solutions, for example, VS Code. That includes working with CI/CD pipelining, right? That includes working with tools like Jenkins, right? Or be it Docker, or be it Kubernetes, or be it Terraform, or be it Jinja templates, or be it advanced Python integration. All of these tools belongs to DevOps. So, but CCNP DevNet and CCI DevNet officially also focus on some of the very rigorous and advanced practices with these tools. But again, Cisco kind of misses the fact that most of the target audience for these courses are not coming from application development background. They're coming from network engineering background, right? And this is exactly where I thought, just like how I created the PCNE course or Python for Network Engineer course at PyNet Labs Private Limited, the very first time before the world was talking about it, I was actually delivering training worldwide for PCNE courses, and it got very popular. Similarly, I thought of creating a baseline course before an individual after preparing for DevNet Associate, and after maybe getting certified for DevNet Associate, and before getting started with the preparations of CCNP DevNet, or alongside CCNP DevNet and before CCIE DevNet, an individual can actually sign up for one of our upcoming courses, that is DevOps for Network Engineers. So DevOps for Network Engineers is our upcoming course, right? And which has a content outline which focuses strictly onto these parameters, which includes introduction to DevOps and NetDevOps, right? There is a recent trend which is also called, so technologies from DevOps which are being used for network engineering or network automation is beginning to be started calling as NetDevOps. So we're going to talk about what's DevOps and what's NetDevOps. Then we are also going to get a recap on standard network automation. This is where we'll be talking about using basic Python and using protocols like REST API and protocols like netconf, right? Protocols like RESTconf and certain other things. So we will be getting a recap of standard network automation. After that, we will and this is something that you are also going to learn into DevNet Associate course. So After that, we will be talking about VCS, which is version control system, in depth, right? And that's exactly where we will be speaking about the fundamentals of version control system, the architecture of GitHub and GitLab, right? The local repository architecture versus the remote repository, or working with the Git command lines, right? To synchronize your local repository with the remote repository and actually work with branches and various other features that Git exposes. Then, since there are two different things which are available, one is Git and the other one stands for GitHub or GitLab. So Git is kind of a version control system, and GitHub and GitLab are kind of hosted services that uses Git as a technology. So we will also be seeing these two products that are very popular in today's world, right? GitHub has been very popular for the long decade, and GitLab is something that has came up new, which will allow you to integrate your network infrastructure to actually be working with CI/CD pipelines, so that there is continuous integration and continuous deployment that is there in your network infrastructure. So we'll be talking about both of these solutions and products which are available, and how to install them, how to work with them, right? There are labs which we are going to do along with that. Post that, we will be also working with Ansible, where I'll be introducing you to Ansible again, then comparing Ansible with other network automation suites, then fundamentals of YAML, which is the programming language that we generally use for Ansible. Apart from that, we will also be talking about the need of inventory and variable management in Ansible. How do we use Ansible Galaxy and Ansible Towers? How do we use various Ansible modules which are there, right? Certain other things to Ansible. So we'll be spending good amount of time learning with Ansible. And then we will be jumping into CI/CD pipelining. So in CI/CD pipeline, we will understand the need of CI/CD workflows, right? How do we will be decoding the CI/CD architecture. We will see how CI/CD runners, CI/CD pipelines, CI/CD jobs work. How do we create CI/CD pipelines in GitLab from your admin PC and try to push configurations onto network devices without you actually manually triggering it. As soon as you make a change to your inventory file or your IP address management, then instantly there will be a change that will be pushed, and upon verification, a change will be configured onto your network infrastructure on your targeted devices. So it's an amazing thing. We'll be jumping onto that. Post that, we will be working with pyATS, which is a very popular Cisco's very own network automation test suite. So by using which you will be able to create network audits, by using which you will be able to figure out and compare and back up your network infrastructure every night, let's say, by comparing it. If there has been any change into your network automation, take a backup. If there is not any change into your network into your network automation or into your network infrastructure for the day, then skip that device. So it creates an amazing workflow. With pyATS, we'll be spending our time into that. Then with Jinja 2, Python Jinja 2 framework, you'll be able to templatize your network and create amazing templates that will ease down managing the huge amount of repository or inventory for your devices. Post that, we will also be talking about application development, where we will be discussing about the Docker containers and Kubernetes, right? And we will also be spending our time in performing configuration telemetry and changes with Terraform. That is amazing, another amazing tool or software which comes under the umbrella of DevOps. So these are the very major things that we will be discussing about in our DevOps for network engineers. And one more thing I'd like to highlight over here, whatever we are talking about, this is nothing but 60 to 70% of what is there into CCIE DevNet. So if you prepare with this content, right, then it becomes even more easy to prepare for CCIE DevNet. Since we're also going to launch our official CCIE DevNet class very soon, but this is a strong and must-do course for cracking your CCIE DevNet in your first attempt, if you're planning to. So if you do this particular course, it's going to play a big advantage for you so that you can prepare with those things. And if you speak about the lab outline that we're going to cover in our DevOps for Network Engineer course, then it has advanced Python exercises with loops, conditions, and libraries. It has installing Git and working with Git commands for source control, right? Then we are going to also do focus on labs that has performing GitHub and GitLab integration with VS Code, push and pull local repository changes to or from master repository, right? Working with Git branches, merges, issues, etc. Installing Ansible and basic setup of Ansible using with YAML. Then iOS network automation using Ansible iOS modules, right? Performing configuration telemetry and changes using Ansible. Then building CI/CD pipeline using GitLab, triggering automated configuration changes upon Git commits with CI/CD pipeline, performing network backups, config comparisons, auditing using pyATS framework, right? Building Jinja 2 templates for medium to large scale network infrastructure deployments, installing Docker setup, right? Running a container from Docker Hub, then networking between multiple Docker images and making communication possible between Dockers, right? Deploying Docker containers and installing Terraform, performing telemetry using Terraform, and also building Terraform TF files, which are main.tf file that actually gets identified as Terraform files, and writing configurations onto iOS devices. So these are the amazing labs that we are also going to focus on. When we speak about the lab infrastructure that will be provided to you guys, every candidate will be getting number one, that is candidate workstation, right? That is nothing but a Linux Ubuntu machine with all DevOps softwares installed in it. And I will also demonstrate in my class how to make the installations possible, right? Along with all the licensing that is required. The second thing, and this kind of plays as your jump host. So you're going to get an Ubuntu machine, right? And in your CCI DevNet exam also, you get an Ubuntu machine. So we are kind of creating a scenario which actually meets the official lab exam. So you get familiar with those kind of practices, right? We are not going to work with a Windows machine. And since you're going to, many of you might be getting familiar with the Ubuntu machine for the first time, I will also be spending time in giving the Linux architecture infrastructure and information, right? We will be spending time on fundamentals of Linux, working with the terminal lines or terminal commands of Linux, most of that thing. And the second thing that you will be getting is the EVE-NG access, where we will be creating a lot of our topologies. And since these topologies can be customly created, we will be using devices from iOS platform, from iOS XE platform, right? From iOS XR platform, NXOS platform. Then we will also be targeting some of our configurations in a blended, you can say, real-time architecture that has involvement of SD-WAN setup, that has involvement of SD access setup, and also the ACI setup, right? So we'll be using these infrastructures also to target our configurations at, so you get familiar with the APIs that we can use with SD-WAN, SD access, and ACI. So mostly we'll be communicating with their controllers, the controllers which are a vManager, right? The SD access uses a controller called DNAG, and ACI uses a controller called EPIC. So we'll be working with the REST API skill sets of these controllers, as well as the other configuration pushes or configuration changes that we can perform against the other platforms that has iOS, XE, XR, or NXOS. So this is an amazing training that we're going to come up with. You can also see that how I've been spending most of my time in preparing our lab infrastructure, where we are going to use our Ubuntu machine. We're going to create complex topologies that actually meets the daily requirement and the daily work environment and a network automation engineer might face in the production environment. And we'll be also working with VS Code, where we'll be creating scripts and configuration that can be done for Ansible, for CI/CD configurations, infrastructure as code, pyATS, Terraform, and certain other scripts over there. So I've been spending a lot of time in creating lab documents, in creating topologies, in creating other things which we'll be focusing on. I've been spending time in our newly purchased racks that we have been working up to create DNS center appliances in-house, so that we can work up and simulate our labs into real-time environment. So that's exactly what we have been launching that we've been preparing to launch very soon, and you will hear from us very soon about the launch dates. I think we're going to come up with our first batch or pilot batch of DevOps for network engineers, starting in I think January 2023, which is a new year first batch of mine that I'm gonna run, and mostly by then I'm looking forward to have limited amount of seats in my batches. We're not going to have too many candidates so that I can actually focus more onto my pilot batch and more on every candidate over there. The course is of course going to have some requirements or prerequisites, so you must be well prepared with, you should either be CCNA DevNet certified, right, or you must have studied our PCNE course, right? So whosoever enrolls for these trainings, we would make sure that you guys are aware about Python for network engineer or CCNA DevNet at least, along with the networking knowledge, whatever you have, be it the basic networking, be it the advanced networking knowledge. You can be a CCNA enterprise, CCNP enterprise, or any equivalent track you can have along with you. This will make the course and the entire training very interesting, and let's see how that goes up. If meanwhile, along with this demo video, if you have anything else that you want to ask, you can just drop up your queries onto our website. You can visit to our website at pynetlabs.com, or you can also get in touch with these numbers on WhatsApp or on Telegram. You can also connect with our US representative, or you can drop us a mail at hello@pynetlabs.com. With that said, that was all that we had to talk about in this particular demo video. Thank you so much for viewing. I hope you enjoyed the content of it, and looking forward to have you in one of our trainings. Thank you. Peace.